I guess skip doesn't want to do anything.
Bring extra work. So because you want him to live in school's country.
Elena, if it's possible, upload this a model so that everyone can take a look at the updated version. Originally, I want to give you time after this chapter, but since you are discussing and I know that you are trying to figure out your group presentation, right? What about until 11:30? Okay, we'll give you time for discussion. I'll come back, right, for our new chapter. If you look at the guidelines, it's right now Abudo, the most updated one, Abudo. So you can take a look at the guidelines and have your group discussion.
I would share that.
You don't have a group? One, two, oh, you don't have three? Oh. Question for you. So you guys, do you have class Wednesday?
Maybe we can.
You don't have class? Could you come and have conversation with our invited speaker?
The big one. Big one, big two, big
Oh.
4 hours.
I have class.
Is there any
In your destiny. You don't have to tell anything, you just sit there and have lunch. And if you have questions for you, carry on the conversation. Would you do that?
Like briefly, yeah, briefly.
So, hey Elena, we have 1 year break. So Elena, what can they do? You could help go to the NTS. They don't know our gates. Maybe.
And then we can.
I think if let's say our PK comes to NTUS gates, easy. If let's say that he can only go to MRT gates, do you think you can help and go there and then receive him to come to NTUS? Yeah. Yeah, MRT. If let's say you can only go to MRT, number 2 case, then you can meet him and then take him to come to NTUS. So right now, when you communicate with our invited speaker, CC him because he can come. And usually we prepare some water for the speaker, but you can there's lots of water at our office, so we'll get some water.
Yeah.
So you will be sitting in my office, having okay, you are so anyone else for this? So you'll be the only one. You probably need to invite one for your class. Yeah. Your class is at 1:20. So you don't have class in the morning. Oh, 2. So okay. So then good. We have to help the class. So what you need to do is to have lunch where in my office. And when it's like about the time, because our class starts at 12:20 in this room. So take him to the classroom and to help him for his talk. So could you do that? Okay. So later we'll let you know whether you need to receive him from the university gate or from the MRT. So we can go together and bring him to the AM office for lunch. So you will need to have the lunch boxes for 3 of them. If you want to go together, you can sit with them and But will you be able to get started earlier? You have class? Because every one of them will have class. But two, I think two, or you two can attend, right? Okay, good. All right,
Then
so.
like that's three part, right? Overview.
Because it's a bit early, 11. But at least we can come up to go. Okay.
可是我们这个总结的，然后
因为他们都是更早的去接他们。If he doesn't come us again. Yeah. 好了。
这上面的 ABC 都这个第二个。
I don't know. I mean, because like the space is 2.0. Yeah, 长句. So it's an easy read, I guess. And the word that she used, not my car.长句还是2这个很难。然后看一看，然后看一看地方
Oh yeah. So, which I would say, one, two, because I'm in charge of the literature review. So I'm fine with answering 1 and 2. How about the others? How about 3, 4, 5?
So
Question 1 and 2. Because, yeah. Question 1 and 2 is referred to the part that I selected. So I would probably be able to answer 1 and 2 then. But how about question 3, 4, 5? Or can we hurry it through when it is logically but you can still offer.
yeah, absolutely.
You can still offer different options. Because I think both of them.
Okay, I need a representative. Each group send a representative so you will know the order of presentation.
Let's go.
I need a pen. Thank you.
后面给他放到14。我说我来之前后一堂课。OK。
Then who are the ones helping me to navigate? Then the person who should also do introduction, literature review, and but I think that we should also
Your name?
Is it LEVI?
Wait.
Yeah. Okay, the overall presentation. Dima, group 1. Elsa, group 2. Riva, group 3. And Rix, group 4. Okay. And I think it's pretty much about the time. If you need more time and you need to do it after the class, okay? I need to discuss with you about the time for our meeting, okay? Our class meeting. Originally, I said that if we could, it takes, for example, let's see, it takes about 20 minutes, right? I said 15 to 20 minutes. Usually, most groups will use 20 minutes, and then I will ask the group to ask questions and me provide comments and feedback. That will take at least 5 to 10 minutes already. So each group that will be 30 minutes. So total will be 2 hours already. And then think about we have the shift, right? To come back and it's there and then get ready. So I think roughly we will need 2 hours and 20 minutes also, okay? So I think the safest way, because no group, particularly group 4, you don't want to wait for another week. And then we don't want the group presentation to use our lunch time. Nobody will pay attention when it's lunchtime. We don't want to go overtime. So the safest time for us to get started, I will suggest, what about let's start it at 9:30? Let's start it at 9:30. If we can end the whole group presentation earlier, then we can say goodbye earlier, okay? But that will make sure every group gets the chance to get it presented. Nobody wants to postpone and wait until next week. Nobody wants to be interrupted by all the bell rings and people, rushes through and nobody pays attention. Would that be okay? But 9:30 means that before that you have all the PPT slides uploaded on the laptop. And group 1, Dima, where are your group members? Please raise your hand. We have Frank, okay, and Dima, Wendy, and don't tell me. Suddenly. Give me the first letter. Second letter. How come I suddenly go blank? C, L. The third one. O.
That's the
CHL.
Two more left.
Koi. Okay. Sometimes I just suddenly go blank. Okay, yes. It's like Cynthia. Like, I don't have a student called Cynthia. And then oh yes, Cynthia. Okay. Koi, yes. Alright. So your job is like when it's time 9:30, we'll get started. Okay, and I'll give you a timer, means that when it's time, I'll stop you. So to make sure other groups can get their presentation finished on time. It's very important. All right? Okay. All right. And for this, okay, I know that many of you have class. Okay, and so luckily we have Eva and Jennifer. They don't have class before our presentation, so they will help to receive our invited speaker, have lunch with him, and then bring him to the T4 402 for that 15 minutes talk. Okay. I haven't met this speaker before, but he claims, and I also checked, he was invited to major conferences, and I hope that he will deliver a quality talk. All right? digital learning program would also like to invite him. So I hope that he is good. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's go over two major concepts at which you will need these ideas for your critique next week too. One is about, okay, how can we say that this is going to be ethical and this is going to be trustworthy? And as I said, it has to be competent. I have to tell you the truth, until now, every year when I propose my National Science Council project, I also have to include this section to say, how can you trust my study is going to be trustworthy? Okay, so this is the part I will definitely include. Competent and ethical. Okay, let's go step by step. When we said my study involves competent practice, it has to have 3 parts. And I think you might be able to look at this from 3 aspects. One is credible, rigor, and also useful. Okay, let's take a look at what does it mean when we say, hey, my study is credible. Okay. Credible means, okay, here. Credible means, does it ring true? Okay. From a qualitative research perspective, when we say ring true, doesn't mean it only have one fact or one truth. It means that the truth can be understood from multiple perspectives. Okay, it's not like quantitative research. Numbers, data analysis, analyzed statistically, and it has the hard facts, okay, through the numbers. But qualitative research intends to understand the experience and from multiple perspectives. Okay, so that's what we see by whether the study is credible. So instead of giving you one fact, one truth, we are looking at an issue from multiple perspectives. Okay, all right. And in terms of when we say rigorous, it also means it's systematic. When we say it's systematic, means that they are certain procedures. Okay. Last time we had the idea of warrants. Okay. These are the warrants to guarantee the study is rigorous. Okay. And lastly, I think this is also a very important concept for you. When you conduct a study, you always have to ask yourself, for whom the study is going to be useful? Is it only because I'm interested in the study, but for whom the outcome will be useful? It's going to be useful for the policy makers, for teachers, for learners, for parents, for administrators. For whom? Or it's only for yourself? Okay, if it is only for yourself, then why should others be interested in your study? Because it's only for yourself. All right, so this is also important concept that need to be considered. Okay, another way of looking at credibility. Okay, these are different measures, different ways to make sure that your study is credible. So when we say it's a credible study, it means that you have prolonged engagement to be in the research field. It's not only 5 minutes and then go, because being there 5 minutes, you probably wouldn't be able to have in-depth observation. Okay? Triangulation, last time we talked about this, multiple perspectives. Okay? Participant validation, member check. Community of practice. Okay, who say so? I think somebody shared the idea. Jennifer said that when you were senior presented their study, in that research community, they're going to have certain critical friends or critical or seasoned researchers who provide different perspective for you to improve your study. And each one of you, you are all peers, you can serve each other's critical friend. That's why when you give your presentation, I always ask peer feedback. In fact, interestingly, when I ask graduate students whose comments and feedback they think helpful, a lot of times they think their peers' feedback are quite helpful for them to improve their research. Okay, so that's critical friend. Personal perspective, definitely you as a researcher, you definitely play a very significant role in the whole process, particularly data all the way, I think from the beginning till the end. Okay? And then a stance of humility means that you don't only value certain one's perspective. You look at each one as equal importance, and then you value each one's perspective. Don't think this is only peers, nothing to offer. Hey, okay? Or in a classroom, don't think those slower learners have nothing to offer. If you believe that a learning and teaching environment is constructed by all the members who get involved in, everyone's perspective and voice should be included and valued. Okay, so that means a stance of humility because they are all human beings. Okay. Could I say something, that part of this? Over the weekend, I have been so, what should be a good word? Troubled by the war.
Oh.
Just thinking about, I just cannot imagine how people can live under that kind of environment, not knowing what would happen the next day. And it's a kind of, I don't know if you could kind of imagine the situation, but I cannot say I can relate. But when I was abroad, like for example this time, when I was in Greece, okay, over the summer, I was constantly reminded, like, watch your back, watch this, don't go here, don't talk to somebody, go back home and stay here. And I was like, I just cannot imagine like people live under this kind of situation. And versus that here in Taiwan that we are so fortunate, so blessed to live in this kind of environment, and then without being, like warned and
I hope you didn't forget about China, right?
yeah.
Right next to you.
Yeah, yes. But I think, well, it's just comparatively, I feel like, at least from my perspective, I feel like we are so blessed, to live in an environment that I don't have to worry about what will happen the next day. Yeah. So I don't know how you look at all the like international events and what has been going on, but it really troubles me. Yeah. Okay. So this word, and just cannot imagine that somebody has such complicated historical background, and it's so difficult to say whose is what. And do you know what's going on right there? Right? Yeah. So difficult situation. All right. And once again here, okay. Basically, this word rigorous. Okay. From the beginning, when you develop your conceptual framework based on what? Theoretical framework, all the research, all the theories. That goes back to the beginning, literature review. So with the thorough literature review, you develop your conceptual framework, your research approach, and then you gather your evidence, okay? Data analysis, the whole process, then you make your conclusion, okay? Searching for alternatives means that you will admit your limitations. So when you read your thesis, you take a look at whether the researcher admits the limitations at the end of the research. Okay? Because no study, no research is perfect. There are always some limitations that they could have done better. Okay? All right? And then usefulness, You can always think about, is it going to be useful for the context in Taiwan, the context in rural area, the context in city area, or in my classroom, okay? The research process, how would knowing this research help me to help my research process, particularly, or research process in general, okay? And lastly, what about the outcome? How can the outcomes be beneficial, useful for all the parties involved? Okay. So look at the usefulness from these three aspects. Okay, this is just a reminder. Okay. When you say, yeah, the people kind of has a tendency to do something that nobody has done it before, nobody has thought about that before. But then you have to remember, so in what ways your research is going to be helpful if nobody has done that before? No literature review can be provided to discuss the outcome. Would that be really good? Okay, so that's from the usefulness perspective, okay? So very quickly, competent practice can be examined from three aspects: from the credibility, from the rigor, and from the usefulness of the study. Okay. And if you want to go deeper, there are many different aspects to take a look at: credibility, the rigor, and also usefulness. Okay. Now let's move on to ethical practice. Okay. A trustworthiness study should not be only competent but also ethical. Ethical in terms of what? The first one is assurances. What does it mean, assurances? You got to assure, okay? Assurances, many times you might think about what? You need to assure that the participation is voluntary. It's not forced. They can decide to withdraw at any time as they wish. So you can see maintaining good relationship with your participants is so important. Okay? What if they decided to quit toward very end of your study and you count on the data, but unfortunately your participant said, I'm sorry, I need to withdraw from your study. To be an ethical researcher, you should not use this person's data.
I think we were forced to fill in that question
You were forced?
and so do you know what I'm saying? I am not like voluntarily involved
Oh.
but I think the researcher is probably going to use my data as well.
Okay. I have to say that I think there are two ways. I need to say this. Sometimes collecting data could be part of the instructor's class. For example, I might give some survey to my students, and the major purpose is for me to understand where are they right now. Okay? But in order to use the data I have collected, I really have to go back and ask, the data I collected from, to say, is it okay for me to use your data for my research? This is usually what I do, okay? Because I really need to understand the students first. But then if I need to use their data for research, that's not for teaching purpose, for my research, I will go back and ask the students and ask them to give me the consent form. That's the second stage. So for those who didn't give me my consent form, I will exclude their questionnaire because they did not agree to let me use their data sets. But most of the time, the students will give me their consent form because I will guarantee you, I will send their assurances that their identity will not be revealed. I will not say whose. If I want to name anyone, I will definitely give a pseudonym a fake name. I will not mention this person's name. I'll make sure that all the identifiers will be removed. They will not be revealed. Okay.
So, for example, is this consent is compulsory in every research method, for example, interview?
Yeah. Right now, okay. I think starting from a few years ago, all the research projects here in Taiwan are required to submit consent form as part of the application, proposal application. That means they require all the researchers to ask the participant to sign their consent forms. Okay.
Okay, so I was interviewing for Alena project.
Oh.
Did you give more?
And then, okay. Wait, okay. I think there are different levels, okay? Theirs, perhaps for them, it's only for their coursework. They probably wouldn't get anything published or for research purpose, okay? But for another thing, for example, most of the professors, if they have research projects, that's for research process. That means that they will get the information published. Whatever you need to get something researched and published, you need to get the consent form. Okay, so it's for various purposes. Okay, yeah. And assurance, I think the biggest part is to make sure to tell your participant it is okay for you to withdraw. You can promise and to say yes first, but feel free to say no, even in the middle or till the end of the research project. We don't want to see this happen, but this is one of the assurances to the participants, so they feel safe to say yes and to feel safe to say no. Okay, and usually if we want to ask anyone to review anything, we need to guarantee there's nothing to do. If you don't, it is not to participate, it's not going to influence your grade. It's also very important because if you feel like you are threatened, you know, you feel like you are threatened to say no, then you will probably feel that you are forced to give certain kind of response, and that's definitely your response is not the authentic one. Your response is because of your as a result of your concern, and definitely that's not good. You see? Okay. So as a researcher, we need to make sure that your participants do not feel that they are forced to give certain kind of response. Otherwise, that's not the research work. Okay, that's what. See, like NTU, they have a human subject research office, and they want to make sure every single researcher, you have to ask your participant to sign. Okay, and toward the end of the research, for example, right now, I was asked to submit all the consent forms from my research, to make sure you did get consent form to get your data collection. You didn't force them, okay, to participate in your study. Okay, all right. And definitely, it's honored and protected. When you say that they will not reveal their identity, you got to do so. You cannot present even some of them, their pictures. No, okay? Their identities should not be revealed. Okay? And lastly, I encountered this situation when I conducted my study. In Taiwan, I'm not sure right now, but when I was conducting my research, it's quite threatening for the parents to sign, to give their signature. They feel like, what are you going to do? You are asking my signature. Well, in the Western country, I need to get your signature to tell you, okay, if you get involved in a study, what are the obligations and what kind of assurance I need to give you. And to make sure that I have said so and you have heard what I said, and you sign, you give your signature. But when I was conducting my research, I asked the parents to sign for their kids because the kids are small. they are under the age of 12, they need to have their parent signature. A lot of parents come to the teacher, the mentor, and asking, why is the researcher asking a signature? Okay, what do they want to do? What does she want to do with the signature? Okay, so I need to explain because we are conducting the research for a degree required by a Western country, and that's the procedure it is required. So cultural differences, involved, And I remember the parent said that as long as the class mentor, 导师 or 任课老师 say yes, that's fine. Why should you ask the signature from me? Because in our culture, teacher plays a significant role. If the teacher says yes, that means that everyone should say yes. Because I give the right to the teacher to get permission. So why should you go back and ask my signature again since the mentor said yes to your study? Okay, but which doesn't work for example, my university. Even the mentor say yes, no. You still need to get the signature of every single kid to make sure that their parents give the permission. So you see the cultural difference there. Okay. All right. Oh, will you pay to your participants? That's why I think payment. What does payment mean? I think payment for me is important, and that's why we work so hard to get funding. Because payment means if you get paid, that means that you also got a responsibility. You know what you need to do. For example, I explain the whole procedure and you agree and you get the payment. So you need to show up, for example, for data collection. You cannot get paid without showing up. Okay. However, if without payment, I feel without payment, sometimes it's difficult to ask your participants to engage so much time in your data collection. If your data collection really takes some time and need to use some time from the participant, it's a bit challenging. Okay? If it's only fill out the survey, probably it wouldn't take that much time, that's okay. But if you need to interview them, observe them several times across your study, then I think payment is reasonable. Okay, unless, for example, you have good friendship with the participant and they are willing to help out and you don't have any funding, it's understandable, particularly for graduate students. Okay, but for us, we always like to work hard to get funding and hopefully to get our participants paid so we can make sure the quality of the data collection. Okay, so that's the assurance part. Okay. I have something that I would like to discuss with you if we still have some time here. I think, have you heard about the differences between these two ethics? Okay, one is the ethics of consequences, the other one is non-consequences or consequentialist ethics. Oh, very big terms, but quite easy to understand. You as a researcher, you can ask yourself what kind of researcher you are. Do you believe this or do you believe this? Okay. You might say, what is that to do with my data collection? It has a lot to do with your data collection. For example, do you think that you will, for example, if what you think that the data collection, the data you're going to collect is going to be very helpful for a lot of people, majority of people, while you need to harm certain people. Will you do so?
Depends on the circumstances.
Okay, but okay, let's say yes or no. But sometimes you got to make the decision very quick. Okay. Have you heard about, for example, okay, I think illustration is, a trend is gonna be a trend is gonna hit 5 people, okay, right? But then if you can save those 5 people by sending one person to be hit by that trend, 1 versus 5, will you send that 1 person? Okay. Somebody will say yes, because 1 can save 5. Some people will say that. Then if I say this one is a homeless person and 5 presidents, if you kill 1 homeless, you can save 5 presidents. Will you do so?
I'll choose to hit the presidents. To save the homeless people.
See? Okay, so this could be another decision. Okay, this is an extreme case, but I think a lot of researchers encounter this kind of dilemma. Is that I know if I do so, it's gonna harm certain people, but I have a general or common good that I would like to achieve. I really want to find out this, but in order to find out this, I need to harm or like sacrifice certain people's rights. Okay. So some people will make that decision. If I take away a kidney of a homeless, and I can save the whole human or mankind, will you do so? Are we doing this? Yes. For example, perhaps not human beings, but mice. We are doing all kinds of experiments on mice in order to come up with good solutions to humans' diseases. Is that what we are doing? Yes. What about mice' rights? Animals' rights. Right? Don't they have rights?
Well,
See?
there is a level of rights.
See, for him, there's, for some people, yes. For some people, there are levels of rights. For some people, rights are all equal. For some people, they don't believe even humans have equal rights. Yeah. Okay, so this is a theory of ethics. Okay. So keep this in mind when, particularly if you're ethnographers, you go to a field, you think that you are doing something good for that community. However, for some people, they don't think you are doing something good. You are satisfied your own rights. Okay. Right. So which one would you choose? Ask yourself. Okay. It's the same. Like if you can sacrifice 1 person in order to save more people, would you do so? Okay. Would you do so? Okay. You can watch that. Case 2. Do the participants have the right to quit from the study? Yes. Okay. So that once again highlights the importance of maintaining good relationship. Okay. Did I tell you that like for my doctoral dissertation, my participant, I followed, okay, shadowed my participant for 2 years. When I say shadow, means that I go to the classes, the courses she goes to. She goes every single social event I have there. I basically follow wherever she goes because I'm looking at her academic life and personal life and how these 2 lives influence her professional development. I also follow her back to Taiwan. Okay, so 1.5 years in the U.S. to see how she makes sense of all the theories she gained from her TESOL program and how she transformed all the theories and knowledge in the EFL context in Taiwan. So basically, when she goes back to teach in classroom, I am like at Elena's position, observing her teaching and her interaction with the students. Okay. So without maintaining a good relationship, it's very difficult to be. Can you imagine that you have been observed, interviewed for 2 years? Periodically for 2 years, and followed and shadowed?
No.
See, some people will definitely say no. But I know this is what I like to do, and it's impossible for me to have more than one participant like this. Okay, it's too much work for me. But I remember when I proposed this idea, all my committee members were so concerned because they were afraid once my participant quit from the study, I would have nothing. And that put me in a very huge risk. Okay, yeah, so, okay. Okay, next one. How come? Okay. Oh, okay. This is another. Okay, I'll finish this one. Be careful. Sometimes you have good relationship, and then usually we conduct study in our friend's classroom. But when you become the researcher and you observe a classroom, you might theorize and observe and see different insight that perhaps your friend as a teacher who normally didn't pay attention. Okay, so this is a true story that happened between two of my close friends. One went to the other friend's classroom, okay, observed the class, collected data, analyzed, interpret the outcome, and get the study published in a very top journal. Then this being observed, this friend suddenly realized, oh my God, this is how you look at my class, so lousy. From her interpretation is, so my class was such a lousy class from your perspective. Okay, how can you observe my class and then reveal my class or portray my class as a lousy class? And that's the end of their friendship. Oops. So a lot of issues to be discussed, right? So is it because of the member check, or is it because one is not open enough to accept different kind of interpretations of our classroom? You know, many issues to be discussed. But one thing is for sure is that's the end of their friendship. They never talked because of the study. Okay. Yeah, so lots of issues to be discussed too. Okay, I will stop here, but I think a lot of research stories to be told. But, okay.
I have a question regarding the assurances. What if at the end of the day, at the end of the interview, interviewees they decided to withdraw, but the researchers would like to they feel that the outcomes that the answers from the interviews is kind of like useful and helpful for their research, and they decided to include the kind of like the outcome, the answers into their research. Oh, I didn't get it.
Okay, yeah. I think very good question. It really, it depends if your research, your participant decide to quit for many reasons. One, you could think about perhaps, oh, I was running out of time and was not able to give so much time, and it's understandable. So that means that the data beforehand, collected beforehand, can be still used, right? Is it because I do not have time to collaborate to be interview further? But it doesn't mean that the data collected cannot be used. You can ask, okay? Secondly, you might want to know why she wants to quit. A lot of time, that's another story I haven't told you, is that they were so concerned that the voices or the stories they reveal in the interview will be known by the principal or by others. And that will put them in into a very difficult situation. So how can you make sure that you can still tell the story, but tell in a way that will not harm the participant? Or you could try to say, if I present it in this way, would that be okay for you? Can you accept my interpretation or my presentation in this way? Okay. So they have worries. That's why they feel like they need to quit. Okay. So negotiation between you and the participant is extremely important to make sure you still tell the truth, but say in a way that will not put them in a difficult situation. Okay? All right. Okay. So I look forward to your presentation. Oh.
Yeah, I have a question regarding to the presentation.
Okay.
Is there any certain requirements for the presentation?
Okay. The requirements is that you definitely need to know what you are talking about. And then don't read through. You could have some notes, okay, to remind you. But please do not read the notes word by word. Secondly, do not put all what you want to say on PPT slides and read through your PPT slides. It's not presentation, it's reading. I can read by myself. All the audience can read by themselves. Okay, so points, PowerPoint, give points, but give your explanation. You can still have notes, but don't read your notes word by word without looking at your audience. That will be my criteria. And then when I say critique, means that provide both strengths and weaknesses. Don't critique, probably you keep looking at the negative or the weaknesses. But give credit. After all, they have completed, right? They have proposal hearing and all the committee members who provide their comments. There are some strengths. Okay. So, and third criteria, I would expect to see that all the major components I listed have been addressed in your presentation. If you want to have more, more than what I have listed, great. But at least you need to cover all those parts. Those are my criteria. Okay.
Last question, do we need to hang in the reading logs?
When?
I mean, I didn't see any,
So next week, since we don't have the new chapter, so no reading log, right?
Yes, no.
Because
Yeah.
no new chapter, so no reading log. So focus on your presentation. Okay? All right.